Now he sits on the House Oversight Committee, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, to weigh in not only on the strike, but the cleanup and the search and rescue after Hurricane Helene. And one more issue, Tim, we obviously have to talk about the strikes. Iran are lobbing hundreds of rockets at our friends in the Middle East, Israel. So let's begin first and foremost with helping Americans. Tim, great message you sent out on your social media that you're suspending campaigning and you're helping your constituents. I wish more and more politicians would be out there doing what you and President Trump have been doing. Do people at home, Tim, really get how bad this is? I mean, we're talking about entire mountain towns washed away, like Chimney Rock, North Carolina. We're talking about hundreds of people still missing.
Yeah, well, we get it, of course, because it's right here in my backyard. My friend Dinah Harshberger, I'm in District 2. She's in District 1. They were hit. They were just devastated. You know that. You know it. You've been there. The rain comes out of those mountains in North Carolina. Nothing stops it, and it just snowballs, if you will, and there's nothing that could stop it. And when it hit Tennessee, Unicoi County, some of those areas, just devastated. I mean, they call it a 1,000-year flood in recorded history of this country. There's nothing like this. And granted, if we wait on the government, the federal government, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
People are just digging in and doing what they do best. These churches and people call me and say, I'm on the road right now. A guy called me. I said, I got 40 pizzas in the back of my pickup truck's full of water. Where do I take it? So I call up there and find out where they're distributing it. That's what it takes. And I tell you what, if America really wants to help, there's some great groups, Samaritan's Purse, East Tennessee Foundation, Salvation Army. Check on the groups you give money to first. If somebody calls you and says, I want your credit card, don't give it to them. They're scamming you. Give it to known groups that are already on the ground, that are doing the job. We're not going to wait on the federal government. I know I am the federal government, but you know, you got the bureaucracy and it's ridiculous. They don't read the room, just like that crazy nut longshoreman you had on there. How tone deaf can one American be? And I'll tell you what ticks me off even worse, Dan, was yesterday. The president, I don't think it was the president, I think he's underneath some umbrella at the beach, his people were negotiating with the business community. They need to have the unions in there, not the business community. That's it, that's why Tennessee is thriving right now, business-wise, because we're a right-to-work state. If you want to be in a union, that's your business. If you don't, you don't. But these businesses, if we had a port, they'd be coming into Tennessee. But they've got us in a very precarious position, and I think it could cause their demise, because America's fed up with this kind of greed and this kind of stupidity, especially when Americans are hurting.
Now, to play devil's advocate, I get that the workers are sitting there going, hey, other people got raises, you got fast food workers in California making big bucks to make some French fries. We're out there on the docks where we can get crushed by a, several 1,000-pound shipping container. We're doing hard, real work. We deserve an increase. And I feel for those workers. But I agree with you when it comes to that union boss. Making a demand like that and saying we will cripple you, not a good bargaining tactic. How do you think the Biden-Harris regime and D.C., you and your counterparts, should be handling this right now? Because let me tell you, Americans in general can't handle shortages and increase in prices. And God forbid the folks living in your state and the Carolinas have to go through shortages and increased prices while they're trying to recover from this 100-year flood. What do you think you all should be doing with those longshoremen right now to stop this strike?
Well, we're gutless is what we are. The president will bend over backwards and will try to blame it on the business community, and so will Kamala Harris. And in reality, they need to use their executive order, which they've trampled our Constitution with, and force those people back to work, much like Reagan did the air traffic controllers, because this is an emergency situation. People's lives literally depend on this. It's not about some car dealer getting a transistor so he can sell a used car. This is about people's lives and their livelihoods. I would hope we'd have some real leadership, but we don't have that. And when they want to get this done now, because under Trump, they know this wouldn't happen. They would send the guard in or whoever, and he would clean it up, because he's not going to stand for this. But currently, we don't have anybody in our leadership that has those guts.
All right, final one to you. We talked about helping our fellow mankind in need. Make sure it's a good source before you donate, and these people need everything when it comes to the basics. We're talking about the strike. Finally, speaking of strikes, but with missiles, Iran got into the war. It's no longer just the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas, the terror groups. Now you have an actual nation firing 200-plus rockets today at our ally Israel. What do you think should be the reaction of the United States of America. Final question, Tim Burchett.
I think it should be appropriate. I think, but I do want to quote Netanyahu. He said, "Our problem isn't with the Iranian people; it's with their leadership." And they think there'll be some changes there. I believe you'll see tactical strikes, and that will eliminate a lot of the threat, and the people will be able to rebuild themselves. And we need a leadership. Once again, under Donald Trump, Iran was broke.
Yep.
That we removed all those gas tariffs and all those restraints, and they're rich again. And what are they exporting? Terrorism. That's what they're doing. And these are not rockets made out of, these are not low-tech rockets. These are ICBMs. These are high-tech missiles that they shot at targeted areas. 180, and the Iron Dome worked. With our technology and with the guts of Israel, it stopped them.
But you need leadership, and it begins at the top. And the two people allegedly leading our country, sorry, no other plain term to put it, they suck at their jobs. I mean, again, if you're looking at a job and a resume and a history, these two fail on every task that's been presented to them. Congressman Tim Burchett, as always, thank you for coming on the program. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Dan. There's a vacuum in Washington. It's between our leadership's ears.
Good point. Take care, Tim.